Welcome back to Vinny's Aquatics. Thank you everybody for joining me today. What we're going to do is we're going to start some trouble. We're going to kick the proverbial hornet's nest.
Cover Winkler in bees. You can do it.
We're going to talk about PetSmart, whether you should buy fish or you shouldn't buy fish from PetSmart. Now, look, I know I am not the first YouTuber to do this, and I'm not going to be the last. Now those are some of my favorite YouTubers. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to let you know this fish right here, this red devil, I've had him at least 4, maybe 5 years now. And yes, I did get him from a PetSmart.
What kind of monsters would want to keep fish folk in jail like this? They're so beautiful.
So what is the problem with PetSmart fish? I've noticed a lot of complaints online, and we're going to get right to that. But do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell if you haven't done it already. Thank you. So look, I go to PetSmart, I get filters there, I get food there, sand, substrates, anything like that I'll get there. But what about fish? What are they saying online about this? Alright, first, what does Petco do with dead fish? What is their policy? Alright, if you return it dead within 30 days, they'll give you a full refund or exchange, and they will dispose of it for you. If it's been longer than 30 days, they will not refund you, but they will adopt it out for cheap if it's alive, and dispose of it if it's dead. Now, who's keeping a fish around longer than 30 days that's dead? Come on, it's just a little silly. Alright, so let's get to it. Here's a comment I found online from HomeDog98. I wonder what happened to HomeDog97. Who knows? That's a story for another video. Fish horror story of PetSmart. He starts out, ugh, I went to PetSmart today to go look in on the fish and pick up a few things, and happened to walk by the goldfish tanks. There I was looking around, and in the highest tank I saw 2 of the biggest fancy goldfish flailing around. I watched in horror as the 2 turned over and were swimming upside down, gasping. The bleep clerk in there didn't even seem to care. He asked me if I needed anything netted. I felt like screaming at this bleep. Then I was walking around the tropical section, and it was a poor little parrot cichlid stuck in his house. I nearly grabbed the net, but I restrained. As I kept walking, I was reading the labels on the recommended tank size. For a pleco, it was 55 gallon. Yep, we've all seen that walking through these stores. We've all seen that. But there is a counter to that. I will get to that. But let's get on with a couple more of the negative comments. And then I'll give you some of the positive comments on whether you should buy fish at PetSmart.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Alright, here's another one. Today I was at PetSmart picking up some frozen foods for my fish, and he was just browsing the fish like he assumes most of us do at time to time at these large chains, when he overheard a guy talking about getting a new fish for his fish tank. His ears perked up when he said it was a 29 gallon and he was thinking about maybe putting a ballast shark in there. Now the guy helping the customer said, that would be great. Really? Is that what he said? He did, however, ask how long the tank had been up and explain the cycling process. Then, when the customer asked how big the ballast would get, the sales associate told him, oh, not too big. Wow. But I gotta be honest, that's on us. We should do our own research before we go in and we buy a fish. Same thing. What do you go to the car dealership and you take his opinion for it and you go, oh, all right, it's a great car. No, you do your research first. So I can't blame these sales associates. They don't know what they're talking about. It's a job to them. It's us. It's our lives. We should know what we're getting. Even a newbie should do a little bit of research now. It's so easy on the internet. Okay, so there are a lot of complaints. We get it. But look, I'll get to the Betters in a little while. That's a horror story with the Betters. But let's talk about their main filtration system. This is what I found from an employee. Here's a picture of what their filtration system is. Now, he says in his store, he has a few gallons under 2,500. Now, as a customer, we only see the fish wall, what's in front, and the water there. Behind the wall is a rather extensive system with a sump, 2 large filter pads, another large carbon filter, and 12 UV sterilizers, and quote-unquote other crazy things that he doesn't even know what they are. He says the filter pads in the system get changed twice daily. I think that's a little bit of their problem. I don't believe they do that, but if they do, I mean, you're killing all your beneficial bacteria. The main tanks get cleaned daily. They must never have algae or any other forms of debris in them, let alone a dead fish. He says he does dead pulls every time a customer walks into the fish area. But for some reason, some fish will just randomly go belly up throughout the day. Really? You're gonna try to sell me that one? He can say that her guppies seem to be the worst in his store. Those and angelfish don't last very long. It's great. It's very promising. All right, you better strap yourselves in for this one. This is what they say. Anytime we see a sick fish or injured fish, etc., she gets plucked out and moved to an isolation tank that we have behind the fish wall. Listen to this. Each store can only have one ISO tank. This tank is heated to 84 degrees and it's heavily medicated regardless of what's in it. Oh, that's good. Typically, there'll be a minimum of 5 fish in there at any time. If there are aggressive fish, we put up a divider. This tank has 3 HOBs, 2 heaters, and 2 air stones running all the time. The water gets changed every other day and it gets dosed with, listen to this, Quick Cure, Pimafix, Paragard, and Melafix, as well as throughout the week. We're not required to acclimate the fish to this tank, although this guy says he does. Good for him if he does. Most of the fish that get pulled from the main system will die in this tank due to shock or the abundance of medication overloading them. It's my last resort when I see a hurt fish. There's so many problems with that statement and all that I don't even know where to begin. Come on. I'm calling shenanigans on that.
That does it! Shenanigans! Shenanigans!
I don't believe they do that. Actually, let me put it this way. What is my experience with PetSmart? I gotta be honest, I think every store is different. It all depends on who's either the manager of the fish department or the manager of the store. Some are much better than others. I've seen nice PetSmarts, and I've seen horrible, horrific PetSmarts where I just walked out as soon as I went in. Now, like I said, this fish right here, that one, there's 2 of them. I got these 2, I would say 4, probably 5 years ago now. And they were from PetSmart. They're doing great. You can even see he's starting to get that large hump on his head, which I'm surprised he's getting. But my advice is, if you do go to a PetSmart, just look and see what's going on in the tanks. If you notice something's wrong, like they all share the same water. So if one tank has a problem, say ick, they're pretty much all susceptible to it. But listen, anytime you get a new fish, do your research and try to have a quarantine tank. It doesn't matter where you get your fish from, you never know. Put your fish in a quarantine tank first. That will eliminate a lot of your problems. Now, I know you're going, well, I don't have another tank. You don't need another tank. Get a Tupperware tote with a sponge filter. There's plenty of things you can do to keep it in there for a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. You can make sure there's nothing wrong with it. The worst thing you want to do is take a sick fish from any place and throw it into your fish tank and mess up everybody else in the fish tank. And before you start leaving comments down below, this tank, I'm about to rescape it. This was a tank I got for free. That's a rescued arrow. These are all rescues except for the 2 red devils. It's a rescue, and there's another cichlid in there that's a rescue. Eventually, I'm going to rehome this arowana. I'm talking to people about it now. So if you want to put a comment, go right ahead. No problem. Okay. All right. Now, if you think that got you upset, let's talk about the Betters. All right. This is what they say. Yes, our betta fish are kept in cups, and no, we cannot keep them in fancy tanks. There's nowhere near enough room to have small tanks set up for each betta. Listen, dude, all right? Then don't sell them, okay? There you go. There's the thing, you know what? Skip your $3 profit and don't sell the things. What's wrong with you? In the winter, he says we must test the temperature of the bed of water to ensure it's kept warm. If it drops below 74, the bedders must be relocated to a warmer area of the store. Bedders each get a water change either by the lead cashier or whoever is assigned in the pet care a minimum of 3 times a week. This is also when they get fed. Once a week they get bloodworms, and every other day it's typical bedder pellet. If there's a dead bed on a shelf, we must pull it immediately, dispose of the body, and sanitize the cup that it was in for future use. There's nothing to see here. Move along. There's nothing to see here. Like Disney. You can't die at Disney. Come on. Those are the worst excuses I've ever seen. There's plenty of people now that have individual tanks for their bedders, all right? Otherwise, don't sell them, all right? Just stop it. Between me and you, I don't think they're doing any of those things. I think that's total BS, all right? Yes, PetSmart, it's BS. You're not checking the temperature in each one of those cups every day. You're not doing it, all right? I'm surprised if you do a water change in there. It's all that. I don't believe any of that. Again, I'm calling you out. I think you're full of it. There is a petition out right now telling PetSmart to stop selling tanks that are under 1 gallon. And I got to be honest, this is what I agree 100% with. I'm all for capitalism, but cut it out. What are you doing selling these mugs, these little tiny things? You have plenty of other 2.5, 3. I mean, that's about the minimum, a 2.5 gallon. What could you put in anything that's smaller than that? It's like walking around with a fish in a water jug. I agree. They should stop selling those. All right. In the spirit of fairness, I'm going to be honest. You can get a decent, healthy fish from your local PetSmart. It all depends pretty much on who's running the store. Like these, I got these 2 red devils a long time ago. They're doing great, but I did put them in a quarantine tank. Let's wrap this up with a nice little bow on top. So what am I saying? Yes, you can get a fish from PetSmart. Do I think you should put it in a quarantine tank? Yes, I definitely do. Do I think you should check out what the other tanks look like? Yes, and maybe even check out the other stores around, see which one's better. So I would recommend you can get them, but just buyer beware. Caveat emptor. So that's what Vinny thinks about PetSmart fish. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. I hope you had a good time. I hope you're stunned by their ignorance in a lot of subjects. And I hope to see you next time on Vinny's Aquatics. Woo!